Here's Marx-y, Jack Torrance, The Overlook Hotel, and the brain fog of false consciousness. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is widely regarded as a horror masterpiece, but it's also a sneaky commentary on the oppressive forces of capitalism and the brain fog Karl Marx called false consciousness. That's right, Jack Torrance isn't just losing his mind in the Overlook Hotel, he's waking up from the ideological haze that's been keeping him compliant in a system that exploits him. Unfortunately, coming out of false consciousness when you're snowbound with your family in a haunted hotel doesn't lead to revolutionary action. It leads to murderous rampages and creepy chants of redrum. Let's dive into how the isolation of the Overlook Hotel forces Jack to confront his role in the capitalist machine, and why the Torrance family is stuck dealing with Jack's awkward "I've read Marx, and I'm very angry about it" phase. What is false consciousness, and why is Jack so angry about it? According to Marx, false consciousness is the way capitalism blinds workers to their exploitation, tricking them into accepting their oppression as normal. It's the idea that as long as you're busy chasing the American dream, you won't notice that the dream is actually a nightmare designed to benefit the rich. Jack Torrance is the poster boy for false consciousness. He takes the job at the Overlook Hotel thinking it's his big break, a chance to write his novel, escape financial stress, and prove he's more than just a mediocre teacher with a drinking problem. But what's the Overlook really offering him? Terrible pay, zero job security, and isolation so extreme it's practically an HR violation. Jack's false consciousness starts to crack as he realizes the Overlook doesn't care about him. It's not a creative retreat, it's a soul-sucking trap. The ghosts of the hotel, representing the lingering spirits of exploitation, push Jack to embrace his anger, not at the system, but at the people closest to him. Classic misdirected proletarian rage. The Overlook Hotel as a capitalist machine. The Overlook Hotel is the perfect metaphor for capitalism. It's massive, opulent, and built on exploitation. Literally, since it's constructed on a Native American burial ground. It promises Jack a slice of the dream, peace, quiet, and a chance to achieve greatness. But like all capitalist institutions, it's rigged against him. Instead of helping Jack achieve his goals, the Overlook isolates him, exploits his labor, and drives him mad. The ghosts, representing the upper class, manipulate Jack into believing his real enemies are his family, rather than the system trapping him. Grady, the ghostly former caretaker, even tells Jack that he must correct Wendy and Danny, pushing Jack toward violence rather than introspection. It's the Overlook's version of divide and conquer. Pit the workers against each other to keep them from rebelling against the bosses, or in this case, the haunted walls. Jack's awakening, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Jack's repetitive mantra, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, isn't just a sign of his descent into madness. It's his realization that he's a cog in a system that stripped him of joy, creativity, and identity. He's essentially writing the same critique over and over, like a deranged manifesto for his Marxist awakening. But instead of channeling his frustration into revolutionary action, Jack lashes out at his family. Why? Because he's still stuck in the fog of false consciousness. He knows something's wrong, but he hasn't fully grasped that the real enemy isn't Wendy, who just wants to survive, or Danny, who's too busy shining to be exploited. The real enemy is the Overlook and the capitalist machine it represents. Wendy and Danny stuck in Jack's Marxist midlife crisis. While Jack wrestles with his existential awakening, Wendy and Danny are left to deal with the fallout. Wendy, ever the supportive partner, tries to keep things together, but she's essentially the emotional laborer in this scenario, carrying the weight of Jack's breakdown while trying not to get murdered. She's the classic example of unpaid labor within the family structure, keeping the whole operation running while Jack spirals into revolutionary rage and/or ghost-induced lunacy. Danny, meanwhile, represents the next generation. With his shining abilities, he can see the truth Jack can't fully articulate. Danny knows the Overlook is a death trap and understands that the system or hotel is fundamentally evil. But as a child, he lacks the power to change anything. He's stuck watching his dad try and fail to grapple with the crushing weight of capitalist exploitation. The ghosts as the ruling class. The ghosts of the Overlook are the one-percenters of this metaphorical nightmare. Lloyd the bartender and Grady, the former caretaker, are smooth-talking enablers who convince Jack to focus his rage on his family instead of questioning the system. They embody the manipulative tactics of the elite, distract the masses with petty grievances while maintaining their own power. Lloyd's offer of free drinks is particularly insidious. It's not just a bribe, it's a symbolic representation of how the ruling class pacifies workers with empty promises. "Your money's no good here," Lloyd says, Which sounds generous until you realize that Jack is paying with his soul instead of his wallet. The hedge maze, escaping the fog. The film's climax, where Danny outwits Jack in the hedge maze, is the ultimate rejection of false consciousness. Danny, representing the clarity of youth and untarnished awareness, sees the system for what it is, a trap designed to consume him. By navigating the maze and leaving Jack to freeze, Danny escapes both the Overlook and the generational cycle of exploitation. Jack, however, remains lost, both literally and metaphorically. His inability to escape the maze mirrors his failure to see beyond the Overlook's manipulation. He's consumed by the very system he thought would bring him greatness. Left to freeze is a cautionary tale for future would-be revolutionaries. Conclusion: Jack Torrance, a cautionary Marxist tale. In The Shining, Kubrick uses Jack Torrance's descent into madness to explore the frustrations of waking up from false consciousness. The Overlook Hotel isn't just haunted, it's a capitalist hellscape, exploiting Jack's labor, fracturing his family, and driving him to self-destruction. Jack's failure to fully grasp the root of his frustrations makes him a tragic figure, a man on the brink of revolutionary clarity, undone by his own misdirected rage. Meanwhile, Wendy and Danny survive by rejecting the system entirely, escaping the Overlook's clutches and leaving Jack frozen in both body and ideology. In the end, The Shining is less a ghost story and more a Marxist critique wrapped in a horror film. A chilling reminder that all work and no play really does make Jack a dull boy. And a doomed one.